What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the Samurai Radio Sports Network, and we're here starting a new podcast with the homie Steel.
What's up, buddy?
And this is going to be called the Rivalry Week Podcast, where we talk about mostly things involving the NFL. Finally, someone who fucking can have an NFL podcast with, or sports in general.
Well,
because fucking everyone else doesn't know shit.
Well, I'm glad to be on. I'm glad to be here.
Shit, I'm glad to have you. So, our first topic, let's get right into this. Let me find this shit again, because I fucking lost it in the Twitter DMs. Alright, is the playoffs. So, as you guys know, playoffs as it stands right now, the 1 seed is the Patriots, the 2 is the Chiefs, the 3 the Steelers, the 4 the Texans, the 5 the Raiders, and the 6 the Dolphins. In the AFC. In the NFC, you have Cowboys at the 1, Falcons at the 2. We have the Seahawks at the 3, and either the Packers or Lions at 4. And then you have the Giants at 5, and either Packers or Lions at 6. And they are playing right now at 17-14. Aaron Rodgers just scrambled for like a first down. Fucking shit. But as you guys know, I'm a Dolphins fan. Steel over here is a fucking Steelers fan.
Hey, I'm proud to be a Steelers fan.
Well, we play next week, and the last time we played, we kind of ran for 200 yards on your ass.
Okay, it's not about what happens during the regular season. It's all about the playoffs.
I mean, it might all be about the playoffs, but Ndamukong Suh had a quote earlier that I thought was pretty funny. I'd have to find it again, but what it basically was is he was saying that they know your offense and that it's not going to be hard to stop Le'Veon Bell.
Well, if you take into consideration what he's done in the past 5 or 6 weeks compared to what he did at the beginning of the season, this game is going to be a lot closer than what a lot of people are putting it out to be. I think the Steelers and the Packers are getting hot right at the right time. As of what it appears as though right now. I mean, the Steelers are on a 7-game winning streak. The Packers, I think, are on a 5-game winning streak, about to be 6 if they could pull this game out tonight.
Yeah, they're on a 5.
Yeah, they're on a 5-game winning streak. And it's a scary sight when you see Aaron Rodgers and everybody on the Packers team that's a key player healthy in December. That's what they always say. December is the month for everybody to get hot right at the right time. And that's what it's proven to be for the Packers and the Steelers. I'm not taking anything away from the Miami Dolphins, but we're
3-1 in December. The past couple years, we've been like 1-3. And our only win being against the Patriots. And today, I've fucking got blown out. But that's not the fucking point. I mean...
Yeah, the reason why I said that was because if you're going to pick a team as of right now, an experienced team, the Packers, the Steelers, or the Miami Dolphins, a lot of people would say the Miami Dolphins would be, the third man out. And I'm not taking...
They would. I mean, it's also because, I mean, first of all, right now, Tannehill is supposed to practice next week. And hopefully, according to like Dolphin beat writers, he's supposed to be back.
Well, you never know. I mean, with an injury that he had,
someone during the Saturday Night Football game said, the fucking reporter for NFL Network said that Tannehill told her that his ACL was torn, and then Adam Gase had a press conference and was like, I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. Like,
I mean, hey.
So you never know.
I have to give all the props to Adam Gase this season. I mean, he really took a team who, for all intents and purposes, was a team that was a top 5 pick in the draft almost every year because of their record. And he really
we also had Joe Philbin as our coach.
Yeah, and he really turned this team around and really turned them into a strong and competitive team, especially with Jay Ajayi really becoming hot right at the right time. I think the Steelers game was actually the game that really turned everything around for you guys.
It almost drove you guys to the ground.
It almost drove us to the ground. 1 and 2, it really kick-started Jay Ajayi's hell of a season this year. He ran for over 200 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is not saying a lot considering that our run defense this year has been worse than a lot of other years in the past. And our pass defense isn't the best right now because of our secondary, because they're young and inexperienced. But I think this is actually going to be a good game. I'm pulling for a 3-point game or an overtime game when it comes.
Yeah, I don't want a blowout because I feel like a blowout just doesn't help the ratings because obviously there's issues with the ratings. You know, the Raiders-Texans game is not going to be high on the rating scale,
especially with Carr. Especially with Carr getting hurt. So.
And fucking what's his name? McGloin got hurt today too, so they're gonna start Connor Cook next week. Like Connor Cook, who coaches said couldn't hit a truck or something like that if he tried.
I mean, he's also a rookie, so there's always that kind of, I guess you could say, concern with rookie quarterbacks. You never know who's gonna be a good rookie quarterback. Quarterback. You look at Dak Prescott and what he's done in Dallas, but I think that's purely because of their offensive line. If he was,
I have to agree with you there.
If he was on any other team, minus a few teams in the NFL, like the Steelers, like the Patriots, he would not have the same kind of success as he is right now in Dallas, and a lot of that's also due to Ezekiel Elliott taking the pressure off of him. And as you know, I'm a huge Ohio State fan. We got crushed last night, but I think not having Ezekiel Elliott this year in the playoffs
also sucks ass.
I told you last night I never trusted him and I never will. I didn't like him last year. I like Cardale Jones better than him.
Didn't Cardale Jones play today?
Yeah, he played. I think it was like the last couple of series for the Buffalo Bills, and I'm good friends with a guy who's a Jets fan, and he said
that's horrible.
He said, "Oh yeah." He said to me, he was like, if they put in Cardale Jones at the beginning of the second half, the Bills might have had a slim chance to bring that game back because he looked good in today's game. And I think that's purely because he's a big...
He was 6 for 11, 96 yards, 54.5 completion percentage, 8.7 per attempt, and he had a pick.
Okay.
And his longest pass was a 64-yarder.
But you also got to think this is his first regular season game that he played in.
I mean, that's not bad for your longest to be a 64-yarder in your first regular season game.
I mean, I remember him at Ohio State when he was the third string quarterback and came in and drove our team to a national championship. He has probably one of the strongest arms I have seen out of any quarterback coming into the NFL draft in the past 10 years. He could really just step back, flick his wrist, and it's going 60, 70 yards down the field. But he's also a very big and physical guy when it comes to scrambling. He can get outside of the pocket and really put some pressure on defenses to try and use some QB contain, and then they'll open up some routes for some other wide receivers. So I've always liked Cardale Jones. I've wanted the Steelers to either trade for him this year or draft him last year in the draft, but obviously that didn't happen.
I mean, I wanted the Dolphins to draft Carl Nassib and Paul Perkins.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are having decent seasons.
But the fact that and Paul Perkins has been here and there, but I knew we were gonna lose before before the season started. I knew we were losing Lamar Miller, and I knew we were gonna lose Olivier Vernon towards the end of the year. Because I knew they weren't going to pay Lamar Miller, which I still think was an amazing idea not to fucking go for Lamar Miller. But
he was too injury prone as well.
Yeah, not only with that, but I personally, even just because there was a lot of hype from him and Olivier Vernon coming out of and even me living down here, I was like in Miami, I still didn't understand all the hype. And Olivier Vernon didn't catch on until his last 2 years. And this year, he's had a really great year. But how are you not going to have a great year with the fucking defensive line that the Giants had for a while? I mean, you have to deal with JPP. You have to deal with Snacks and Olivier Vernon. I mean, there's no way you can't have a good year.
And that goes back to the old phrase when they're
Jonathan Hankins.
Yeah, when they're talking about a defense. The defense is built from the ground up. I don't care who you have in your secondary. I don't care who you have as your inside linebackers. Everything is built off of the guys in the trenches. You can't get pressure on the quarterback from your middle linebackers or your corners. You need to have that constant pressure coming up the sides with the outside linebackers and up the center with the defensive tackles and nose guards. You don't have that, your team's not going to be very good. Plain and simple. That's why the Pittsburgh Steelers went out and got Javon Hargrave in the third round last draft, and that turned out to be a huge steal for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, you look at guys like Ndamukong Suh, who for so long in his career has really made a living off the position that he plays in, no matter what team he was on. I mean, I remember when he was back on the Lions, and he didn't play great, but he also didn't play bad. He had that kind of...
On the Lions, he gave our offensive line a fucking whooping.
Right. He was...
last year.
His issue was, on the Lions, he was inconsistent, and there was issues in terms of discipline. But I would still take Ndamukong Suh on my defensive line if there was no other players that I could put on the offense or defensive line that I could trust. Ndamukong Suh has been proven to apply constant pressure, whether it be on the run game or on the pass rush. So,
yeah. All right, so going into just to give an update quickly, Aaron Rodgers definitely is a human. He just threw some fucking sort of touchdown pass just now that was fucking out of this world. But assuming that the Packers hold on and win this game, it's a 23-14 lead. You'd have Raiders, Texans, Dolphins, Steelers, Giants, Packers, Lions, Seahawks. So out of Raiders, Texans, just quickly going through this, let's see, who would you take? Raiders, Texans.
Out of Raiders, Texans, I would still probably take the Texans. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because you have DeAndre Hopkins, who, no matter who he has at quarterback, has been proven to be a consistent threat on the offensive side of the ball. And then you have on the defense, Jadeveon Clowney, who really came into his own this year. And
Finally.
Yeah, exactly.
Been waiting a long time for it.
And you don't have J.J. Watt. I realize that, but there have been other guys on that defense that have really stepped up.
I mean, you have to account for the fact that their quarterback in overpaid Brock Osweiler does suck. I mean, he had a good game today, relieving, but looks like Tom Savage is okay, so I think they'll be starting Tom Savage.
Yeah.
So going from that, you go to let's go Giants Packers.
Oof, it's gonna kill me to say this because my
pick is on the Packers.
Yeah,
honestly
that's where I'm headed to. It just kills me because a bunch of my good friends are huge Giants fans, especially where I went to school this past semester, and last year there was a ton of Giants, Eagles, and Steelers fans. That's the three main types of teams that you would find up at my school, and it's going to pain me to say this because the Giants are a good team. You have to admit they are a good team. They have some things that they need to work on, but overall they're a good team. But I would still have to go with the Packers. Aaron Rodgers has been proven once he gets into the playoffs that he's hot, and especially with Jordy Nelson being healthy. And who's the running back, number 88? I can never remember his name.
Ty Montgomery.
The past couple of weeks has been tearing it up. He's been tearing it up.
And The Giants are my second favorite team just because my dad's a New Yorker and he roots for both the Giants and the Jets. I don't for whatever reason I don't know why, but I slung on to the Dolphins as my favorite, and to spite him, I basically took the Giants over the Jets since I hate the Jets being a fucking Dolphin fan. So I would love to see them win, but I got the Packers. Lions, Seahawks. Who would you go with? This is gonna be in CenturyLink Field.
I still have to take the Seahawks on this one.
I don't think I would pick the Lions out of that. And then Dolphins, Steelers. I think you obviously are gonna go.
I have to go with my Steelers. I'm sorry.
And I think I'm gonna go with my bias. But let's play out both situations. So for this situation, we'll go with Steelers. So you go into the divisional round, then the Steelers would face the Chiefs, the Texans would face the Patriots, the Seahawks would face the Falcons, and the Packers would face the Cowboys. I think the Patriots Texans is obvious. I think that out of the rest of that, they're competitive. So if you have to go with Steelers Chiefs, take your bias out of it. Steelers Chiefs, who would win?
It's gonna kill me to say this because I don't want people to think that I'm trying to spite my team. I just think the way that Kansas City has been playing as of late, especially with Tyreek Hill and Alex Smith really turning it on as of late, I would have to go with the Kansas City Chiefs just because of the fact that our defense, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, isn't what they used to be. Their secondary is still weak. It's growing, but they're young.
Yeah, you have to deal with Tyreek Hill and Jeremy Maclin's finally coming to his own now, being a part of the Chiefs.
And if it wasn't for Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott, I would still say Tyreek Hill would be my vote for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's been on a constant tear.
I still think my Defensive Rookie of the Year would be Jalen Ramsey, but we gotta get through some topics here, so we gotta go quick.
Yep.
So you would pick Chiefs. I gotta agree with you. Seahawks, Falcons. I would take the Falcons.
I'd take the Seahawks in that one. Their defense, even with Earl Thomas not playing, their defense is strong. I mean, you're talking.
They're not gonna be playing in CenturyLink Field when you think about it.
I realize
Matt
that,
Ryan
but still,
the Falcons they have a two-headed beast in the backfield. There.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman.
Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be a good game, but it's going to come down to the fact of whose defense is better. And that's purely why I have
and if Russell Wilson can get it going.
And if Russell Wilson can get into a rhythm on offense, even without Tyler Lockett, which is unfortunate that he broke his right leg, even without him, they're still stacked through and through, although the running back position is kind of a revolving door as of late. And Alex Collins came in after their feature back was injured. But regardless, I'll still take the Seahawks in that one. Don't get me wrong.
I'm gonna go with my one here. So I'll go with I'll go with the Falcons here, and then Packers Cowboys. Honestly, I would pick the Packers in this one.
I'd go with the Packers as well.
Cowboys.
I'd go with the Packers as well.
I don't think the Cowboys can beat any of these teams in the NFC right now. I think they're all way too hot.
And especially with two rookies in the backfield on offense, that's going to give out eventually. And it's going to suck for them, especially because it's going to come down to the fact of it's either going to be the Packers, the Falcons that are going to take them down. I do not think the Dallas Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. And if they go to the Super Bowl, they're not going to win it.
I changed my mind after like week 11. Once they lost to the Giants and I saw how they weren't
for the second time.
I was like, I can't do it. All right, so conference game, Chiefs Patriots. I have the difference here, and I'm going Chiefs.
I would have to agree with you. I mean, Tom Brady has been known to be the most consistent in the postseason. Once they get there, they're pretty much unstoppable. But the way that the Kansas City Chiefs have been playing right now, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Green Bay Packers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are the three hottest teams in the National Football League right now. There's no argument. You could put the Miami Dolphins in there, but I think the top 3 are those 3 teams, and I still take the Chiefs. I'll still take the Chiefs.
So Chiefs going to the Super Bowl, and they would either face the Packers or the Falcons. I'm taking the Falcons on this one. I'm going against the Packers. I think the Falcons at home can shut down the Packers.
Now,
I think it would be a great game, and it would take a lot, probably come down to a field goal, but
I would actually have to go with the Packers in that one, just because of the fact of the Jordy Nelson, Aaron Rodgers duo. And when they're healthy in the postseason, you look at the stats. When they're healthy in the postseason, look what they did to my Pittsburgh Steelers when we were in the Super Bowl against each other. Tore us apart. Yeah. Absolutely tore us apart. I would still take the Packers in that one. That's all right, just
so we'll go with your pick there. We'll go Packers. So Super Bowl, Chiefs, Packers. I'm going with the Chiefs.
I would have to go with the Chiefs as well. Marcus Peters is playing lights out right now. Houston will be healthy by then. They're a hot team right now.
Crazy.
They're a very hot team right now, and it all comes down to that simple fact of whose defense is going to be better.
Winning it all. All right, so second topic here is the draft. So I think we bring up a very good point there. I'll go with the draft before I go with coach firings. Bring up the point there of the Seahawks, how you said that they need a running back.
Mm-hmm.
I have to agree there because when you really think about it, right now I have the Seahawks mocked getting DeJuan Smoot.
Mm-hmm.
But I could think you would have to think that they would try to make a play to trade up and grab one of those star backs, either Dalvin Cook or Leonard Fournette.
I wouldn't trade up, even if they're gonna fall into the latter half of the first round. I would actually look more towards a running back from the South, Deontay Foreman from Texas. Bring that power run game back to the city of Seattle. I mean, you had that with Marshawn Lynch for the past however many years. And they tried with Alex Collins, but Alex Collins is not nearly at the level of a running back like Deontay Foreman, who has speed. He also has power, but you give him any room on the outside, and he's gone. He's gone. There's nobody going to be able to catch him. Granted, he's going to be a rookie. He's going to have some mistakes, but I would still take Deontay Foreman over trying to trade up for somebody like that.
You wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to trade up for Dalvin Cook. I wouldn't want to trade up for Leonard Fournette, even though I think that they're both amazing. But I just think Dalvin Cook. If you watch the Orange Bowl and you just saw what that offense could do, as well as watching him play throughout the year, Dalvin Cook is just is gonna be special.
I can agree with you on that one. I personally think that Dalvin Cook is the best running back, most complete running back coming into this year's draft. People can argue
the past 4 years.
Yeah,
honestly. People
can argue Fournette, but here's the thing that I have a little bit of hesitation on Fournette with. He's injury prone. And I get it.
Yeah, that's the reason why he was held out of the bowl against can't even remember. I watched the game. Louisville.
He's injury prone. And that's never a good thing at the next level, especially coming into the National Football League with already an injury history. That's never a good thing. That's
why Jay Ajayi dropped. He had a knee issue, and he dropped to the fifth round. Also, being from Boise State, not going to competitive school, and I'm sure a lot of teams that need running backs right now are looking at themselves kind of foolish.
And to be honest with you, people don't really appreciate the offensive line that LSU has year in and year out. Last year, when he had one of his best seasons in his career at LSU, he had a tackle that was playing on the offensive line by the name of Gerald Hawkins, who was drafted to the Steelers. He's hurt right now. But if you look at the production of Leonard Fournette from last year to this year, there's a world of difference. And I think, and that might just be a coincidence. But let's say that that's the case. He goes to a team that doesn't have a great offensive line, and he
right
doesn't
now,
have the
a lot of mocks
success.
say he's going to the. A lot of mocks say he's going to the Saints, and Saints don't have a great offensive line. They wasted a pick on Andres Pete, and he's not he's not looking too great. So,
I mean, I've seen other mocks of him going as early as Carolina, and I still think
I would take. The thing is, I think that Carolina need an offensive tackle.
Yeah,
they need Cam Robinson.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think if you even go back to last year in the Super Bowl, you look at the success that the Carolina Panthers had throughout the course of the entire season, and then they get to the Super Bowl and they get destroyed by Denver's defense. By Von Miller and a bunch of other guys coming up the center. That's the blueprint on stopping Cam Newton. You apply pressure on the outside, slough off a little bit on the inside, and when he tries to move up in the pocket, that's when you really squeeze, and then he has nowhere to go. He can't pass the football. He can't run out of that kind of pocket, I guess you could say, and then you have him for a sack. So if they can get some offensive line to be able to protect Cam Newton, you'll see a world of difference in their passing game as well as their running game. So that's personally how I feel.
What do you think? Because, all right, so we saw yesterday the 31-0 route from Clemson, and I was
why did you bring that up?
And I still...
Why did you bring that up?
Yesterday, and I still agree with it, is I think that Deshaun Watson's stock rose a lot from last night's game. I think if he wins the BCS championship, I think he'll probably replace either Trubisky or Kaiser.
Here's
just
the
based
thing.
off of hype alone.
I like Watson. I like Kaiser. I like Trubisky. Here's the reason why I have Kaiser. I didn't release my mock. I'm doing a new mock, but the reason why I have Kaiser going above Trubisky and Watson is, sure, he didn't have this great year this year, but
I still think he's better than both of them, though.
Yes, but he has the build to be able to, I guess you could say, mold him into a strong quarterback.
He has a higher upside than a downside. You
look at him, and I see a guy who could turn into the next Ben Roethlisberger. And I'm saying that with my Steelers biased aside. Just look at his frame.
Yeah. I mean, he's been the basically the top 5 pick, and really a lot of people had him as the number 1 pick to the Browns for a while, but I don't see the Browns taking a quarterback at number 1. I honestly think that they'll go defense, and even then, you never know. I think he'll go 2 to San Fran.
Yeah.
I think that a quarterback, whether it's Trubisky or Deshaun Watson, will go 3 to the Bears, and then I think the next one will. I think now, the next one will probably go to the Jets at 6.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing that
the Jets need a quarterback.
Yeah.
They struck out 3 times. I don't think Bryce Petty is the option. They do definitely need some defensive help, but if I'm trying to hopefully build, I would have to pick a quarterback at 6 or trade up a little bit if you think that Jacksonville might take a quarterback, because you never know. Jacksonville's new coach, if it is Tom Coughlin, he already put out that he's not a fan of good old fucking what's his name?
Kaepernick.
I can't remember his damn name. No, from Jacksonville.
Can't
remember his damn name right now, but anyways, Coughlin already put out that he wasn't a fan of the quarterback there, freaking Blake Bortles.
Oh yeah.
And so you have to think, it brings up a world of possibilities, and that's why tomorrow, let's lead into the coach firings. That's why tomorrow is huge, and we've already had, I believe, 7 coaches have already been let go today, and usually they leave that for Black Monday, as a lot of people like to call it, but right now, as it stands, there have been a lot of coaches who've been fired, and there's rumors that good old Sean Payton might be traded to a team, that the GM from the Saints is willing to trade him. And right now, teams without coaches are San Diego, Denver, San Francisco, Buffalo, LA, and Jacksonville. So it's 6, not 7, but you would assume 7 with Sean Payton.
Right.
And that's a lot of holes that need to be filled. You've heard about the Shanahans, how they would be a duo. There's now starting to have a lot of buzz about Vance Joseph. As a Dolphin fan, I think whoever does that wouldn't be the smartest idea, not as biased of being a Dolphin fan, but in terms of the fact that this dude was a DB coach, 1 year as a defensive coach, and I think if you try to hire him as a head coach, you're probably going to waste a year.
Exactly.
And they saw that with Josh McDaniels when he went to Denver. He was good for I believe it was a year or two as offensive coordinator, and then he shit the bed in Denver, and now he's back where he is with the Patriots. So, but he could also might as well get. You never know. You could see him going back to Denver. Mm-hmm. You could see him. He is another possibility. So you never know. You could see someone try to pry Nick Saban away.
That's not going to happen. The way that Alabama's had success the past couple of years, he's not going to leave Alabama for a head coaching spot.
Giants almost pried him away.
Yeah, and they almost did.
He said he almost left to the Giants, and then they decided that they wanted to hire Ben McAdoo, which I think is a horrible idea. I would love to see Nick Saban coaching the defensive weapons that the Giants have. Oh my God!
And especially because
you think about that. What if he goes to Denver? Nick Saban with Denver could be. You got to think that they would put a pitch for him.
Yeah, I think anything could really happen. I've even heard, and I know this is crazy to even think about, but there have been rumors going around that even Peyton Manning would be in for a head coaching spot somewhere. And I still think it's too soon for him to be able to come in as head coach.
I don't think it's too soon, but I listened to Colin Cowherd's show a lot, and he was talking about how, and Chris Carter was saying how they think it would be difficult for Peyton to be a coach because he's a perfectionist. And as a coach, you can't be a perfectionist.
Right.
So I don't think necessarily it would be too soon, but I think that I don't think that would be a great idea.
No, I don't think it would be either. Sure, I think
that would tarnish his legacy. Just like I think if Tom Coughlin came back into coaching, I think Tom should just stay. I think it would hurt if he went to Jacksonville as a coach. I could see him being a different role, but I don't want to see him on the field coaching again.
Yeah, neither do I. I mean, he had some success as a New York Giant head coach, but you also got to think.
Super Bowls as a 10-6 and a 7-9 team.
Yeah, it's
first 7-9 team to win a Super Bowl. I mean,
it's pretty impressive. But you also got to think he has to have consistency as a head coach to be able to do something like that. And I'm not saying what I'm about to say because of my Steelers bias, but you look at the Steelers organization, and they've only had 3 coaches in their entire history as a franchise, and each coach has had more than 100 wins as their career as the head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You look at guys like Coughlin, and he's had seasons where they were up and down. He's had some losing seasons.
But he's definitely going to be put. I mean, when you think about it, the way that people get put in the Hall of Fame now, they'll probably stick him in there somehow. I mean, they have Jerry Jones elected into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I still think he is a Hall of Fame coach. I just don't think where he is right now would be the smartest idea to try and come back into coaching because of the fact that
could tarnish his legacy.
And that could take him out of Hall of Fame candidacy.
Yep.
I still think it's going to be a while for him to get in, but it is what it is.
I'm just interested because if I had to I couldn't see if I had to think about LA. I would see maybe the Shanahans being brought Mike and Kyle Shanahan. Kyle, who's the current offensive coordinator in Atlanta. But I think Mike Shanahan went on Colin Cowherd's show, and he said he doesn't want to coach. He would rather help from a GM standpoint. And I believe LA fired their GM, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
I can see that, but the rest of them, I mean, Buffalo, I don't know who would you bring to coach that. Same thing with San Fran, Denver, San Diego, Jacksonville. I mean, who are these guys looking for to coach their teams? Because a lot of the main guys got taken last year, and now your Super Bowl winning coach for Denver after 3 seasons is retiring for health issues. San Francisco rolled the dice on Chip Kelly, and that was horrible.
Yep. I mean,
maybe Rex Ryan gets another. I highly doubt it.
I don't think he'll be a head coach for any more teams in the National Football League. But regardless of who goes where, there are going to be a lot of teams like LA, a lot of teams like San Francisco, who are going to, regardless of who they bring in as a head coach. If I could go back to the draft real quick, they're going to have a crucial move to make in this year's upcoming draft because of the fact that this year's draft has probably the most superstar type of players in the past 5-6 years of the NFL draft. I mean, you look at guys like Jonathan Allen, Myles Garrett,
Derek Barnett,
both Tim Williams,
and Jalen Tabor.
Yeah, I mean, there's crucial guys that you could bring in to change your team's perspective. And when it comes to a team like San Francisco, no matter who...
They need a quarterback.
Yeah, no matter who's on the board when you pick, even if Myles Garrett or Jonathan Allen are still on the board when you draft, you have to pick a quarterback. You have to bring in somebody who you can start to really build around. I mean, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles and what they did. They've had kind of a revolving door until they drafted Carson Wentz. And while they didn't have the best season, Carson Wentz is going to be the future for the Philadelphia Eagles. You need to bring in a guy like him, and I don't think
you have to wish for the Rams.
Yeah,
that's their future because the Rams. I mean, if you're a head coach going into the draft for the Rams, you're coming in without a first-round pick, without a third-round pick. You have a second and a fourth, and are you willing to move some talent to help that, and what are you gonna do as the Rams coach? Because you have Jared Goff, and as it looks right now, I think Jared Goff's going to end up as a bust.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I felt like that coming out of college. I never liked Jared Goff, but if you're talking in terms of franchise quarterbacks, I don't think this year, minus maybe Deshaun Watson, if he could stay consistent, there's really no franchise quarterback coming into this year's draft. Next year's draft is going to be loaded with quarterbacks. You look at guys who are going back. Guys like Mason Rudolph, Patrick Mahomes. Those two guys are franchise quarterbacks.
Just lift off a couple. You have Sam Darnold out of USC. You got Lamar Jackson out of Louisville. Although I don't think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a backup at best.
You have a Josh Rosen coming out of UCLA, and he's had a lot of hype. I mean, there's a lot of guys. You've got Jake Browning coming out of Washington.
Yeah, there's just a ton, and I mean a ton of quarterbacks. I mean, I'll even throw a guy in there who a lot of people don't really know about. But a guy by the name of Jake Burrow, who is probably going to be the unanimous starter for the Ohio State Buckeyes next year. I said at the beginning of the year that he should be starting. I did not like JT Barrett, but I think Jake Burrow could be a huge, huge star at the next level. But he just hasn't had the playing time. He's accurate, and he has a hell of an arm. But the guy that I like the most... it would probably be Darnold from USC or Mason Rudolph from Oklahoma State. I just think with the way that the NFL is changing as of the past couple of years, you look at the type of quarterbacks that teams are drafting. Guys like Carson Wentz, guys like, you could even throw Dak Prescott in there a little bit, but you're looking for a guy who has a solid frame that is able to have a huge upside. And with Darnold and with Mason Rudolph, you have that. And especially if you bring either one of those two quarterbacks into a system who already has a franchise quarterback, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, like the San Diego Chargers, so on and so forth. San Diego
Chargers, their franchise quarterback. Honestly, if you want a out there prediction, I wouldn't be surprised if Philip Rivers retires this offseason.
I wouldn't be surprised either. But here's the thing. It
really wouldn't shock me because I wouldn't want to come in with a new head coach after a not-so-great year. I mean, unless you want to stay for the money, this AFC division that they're in right now, they're not going to win very often the next couple of years. I mean, the Broncos, if they can hit on a quarterback, which I wouldn't be surprised if they even trade up to get one, or if they keep Simeon or Paxton Lynch, but
you look at even the Arizona Cardinals, who might go quarterback first round this year.
Yeah, the Cardinals need a quarterback from the NFC side, and then the Raiders are going to be good for many years to come.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it. Kansas City is hitting their stride. It's going to be hard for the Chargers. So if I was Philip Rivers, I'd be like, fuck this. Why am I going to get hit around with a not-so-great offensive line for the next couple of years? Might as well just put it in the books.
Exactly.
But, you never know. Because they could be also looking. I mean, I have them getting Deshaun Watson as a preparing, but I wouldn't be surprised if I see quarterbacks go in the top 3 or the top 5.
I wouldn't even. Here's the thing: there are so many teams in this year's draft that could potentially go quarterback. You even look at the Buffalo Bills, and if they try and move on from Tyrod Taylor.
That's what the reports are right now.
Yeah, if they move,
you could see Tyrod go to fucking Denver.
Yeah, if you move on from Tyrod Taylor, I mean, while I do like Cardale Jones, are you really going to put your trust and your franchise in I think it was a 4th or 5th round pick? He's played well, but he hasn't had the experience. Would you rather try and take a chance on him and try and build your team on other positions, or would you try and trust a new quarterback like a Deshaun Watson, like a Deshaun Kaiser, like a Mitch Trubisky, whoever falls to them?
I wouldn't want that. I would rather see the Bills suck for a long time, just being from the AFC East.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be good for them. I mean, I personally don't see the Browns taking a quarterback their first 2 picks.
I mean, they're gonna have to, unless they want to put all their trust in RG3, which I don't think they will. They're going to have to with the very
RG3,
but here's the thing: this upcoming year's draft is very, very shallow in franchise type talent at the quarterback position. With so many guys saying that they're going to return for their senior year. I mean, I could have seen the Browns going defense with their first 2 picks and then picking up a guy like Patrick Mahomes or Mason Rudolph and I forget if they don't have a second round or third round.
That's what the hype is that Mahomes is going to go to them at the 19th pick in the second round.
I think I thought Mahomes said that he was going to go back for his senior year.
I haven't heard anything, but if he does, then there'll be shit out of luck.
Here's one other topic that I did want to bring up in that position, and it's a topic that nobody's really talking about. What's your thoughts on a quarterback by the name of Chad Kelly out of Ole Miss?
I wouldn't take Kelly. I think...
I'm not saying in an early round, but I'm saying regardless of who you are, do you like Chad Kelly as an NFL quarterback?
He would definitely be a long-term process type of guy. because he's not that accurate. It seems as if the past couple of years he's cracked under pressure, and those aren't really things that you want to see. I mean, right now, people are seeing that with Brad Kaya. Earlier this year, he was a top 15 pick.
He was even argued in the top 5.
Yeah, and Brad Kaya this year has been awful. I mean, right now, if he declares, which
he didn't.
Stupid,
he's going back for his senior year.
Yeah, he's probably gonna go in the 3rd round to like a shitty team. I mean, either way, he's gonna go to a shitty team if he's gonna be a top pick. But he's gonna go to a shitty team with a bad paycheck as a 3rd round pick. I mean,
I feel the same way. I was never really a fan of Brad Kaya, and I'll be the first to tell you that I was never really a fan of him. Just because I think, and it's not necessarily his skill set, I look more at his size as an NFL quarterback, and it doesn't really translate to me. It seems like he would be too fragile, too weak to play at the next level, but that's just me. But I do think I'm opposite of what you are. I think Chad Kelly, if he gets into the right system, if he goes into a system like the New England Patriots, like the Denver Broncos, like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Why would he go? Why would the Patriots pick him?
Well, here's the thing.
Brissett's on a rookie contract for the next 4 years. Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe, is a free agent this year. If not, he's a free agent next year. There's been definitely gonna get a 1st round pick for him.
There's been a lot of trade rumors about Jimmy Garoppolo, and that the Patriots would be willing to listen to other teams, like the Browns, even to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo.
If I were the Browns, I wouldn't want to give up one of my first, because you're either giving the Patriots the 10th overall pick or the 1st overall pick. And if you're the Browns, why are you going to want to help the Patriots get even stronger?
Here's the thing. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is worth a 1st round pick. I would give up a 3rd. The only reason why I'm saying that is because of the fact of pure experience. With a guy like Tom Brady as your somebody who you're backing up, I don't see you getting a whole lot of playing time. And he did okay this year when Tom Brady was out. I mean, they were still 3-1 when Tom Brady was out, but he got hurt. But he also wasn't the most consistent quarterback. I still think that there's a lot that he needs to work on to be able to be a franchise quarterback. And that's.
What do you think? If you had to pick a team right now out of the top, let me list you like the top teams right now that desperately need a quarterback. You got Cleveland, San Francisco, Chicago. I guess you could say Jacksonville to an extent. The Jets, the Chargers definitely need a backup to start working under their man Phillip Rivers. You could probably argue Cincy, Arizona, the Bills. Besides that, Broncos, Texans. If you had to think one that would maybe either give up a 1st, a 2nd, or a 3rd, what would that team be?
For Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, for Jimmy G.
I would have to go with the New York Jets.
You think the Jets would give up a 1st?
Not a 1st.
Rival?
Not a 1st. Not a 1st. I would probably give up maybe a 2nd and a 4th, or a 3rd round pick and a 5th round pick, somewhere along those lines. Because think about it this way. Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't had a whole lot of playing time, and the New York Jets desperately need a quarterback. And are you going to try and trust somebody in the NFL draft who hasn't played a single snap at the NFL level, or are you going to try and trust somebody who had really trained arguably under one of the best quarterbacks of all time? I would take Jimmy if I was the New York Jets. I would take Jimmy Garoppolo in a heartbeat, but I would not give them a 1st round pick. That's the thing. If it's anything after the first round, yes. If it's a first round pick, I wouldn't take it. And I would take your chances at somebody in the draft.
I would think that they would try to give up. I mean, I wouldn't. It would be different for me to think that the Jets would give up their first or their second, excuse me, just because you're trading within division, and I don't think that Bill Belichick would do it. But at the same time, you would get off the clock that night, and then the following night you would be on the clock within the first 6 picks. So, and when you think about it, there could still very well be some very good talent still available. I mean, this draft is definitely stacked in talent, and in terms of the second round, I think it'd be a great trade if I was Belichick, but I don't know if the Jets would do it.
I don't know if the Jets would do it. I'm saying purely the fact of if this was a dire need, if this was a position that they thought they needed absolutely 100% to address in the offseason, whether it be through free agency, trading, or the NFL draft, are you going to try and trust somebody like a Tyrod Taylor, who's played for the Bills, if he's going to be able to move on from the Bills? Are you going to try and trust him? Are you going to try and trust Christian Sackenberg, who can't really throw to save his life?
I think about it. If I was the Patriots, looking at the fact that you have Takaris McKinley, who would easily fill that void that Jamie Collins left at that outside linebacker position that is looking like a second rounder. Solomon Thomas. Right now, some people have Desmond King as a second rounder early or a late first. So if he falls, I mean, we saw Landon Collins fall. You get another offensive tackle in Martinez Rankin, a guard, and Ethan Pochik. Even then, Marcus May will most likely be down in that second round. You grab yourself another safety and maybe give away Patrick Chung. I mean, there's a lot of different things that they could do. So I could see it, and I think it would be a great trade. But who knows? I mean, and it's just been announced right now that the Lions and the Seahawks will be on NBC next weekend, and they're going to reset the rotation for the scheduling. Okay. Now that it's Lions Seahawks.
Okay. Oh, so did the Lions lose? I haven't been watching the game.
Lions just lost 31-17. Well, there's 28 seconds left, but it's going to be a loss, 31-17. So,
okay. Well, here's one other topic that I wanted to bring up, and it's something that people have been really talking about: the hype behind Jabril Peppers and what really position he'll play at the next level. And I've seen him even dropping as far as the 20s in a lot of mock drafts right now. I think he's a top 10 talent, in my opinion. His versatility is unmatched in college football right now. And sure, he didn't play in that bowl game, but that doesn't take away the fact that he is one hell of an athlete. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, I think he's the best athlete in the draft. But you have to you have to see what happens. But it's been confirmed the Dolphins and Steelers will play at 1 p.m. on CBS on Sunday.
You're gonna hate that, CBS.
And I am definitely not gonna like that. I would rather have had the NBC night game, but it helps out because apparently if we had the Saturday game, even if Tebow was okay, it looked like Adam Gase was going to sit him. So now that we have the Sunday game, it gives him extra rest. So we'll have to see what happens. So that makes me a little happier, although I wish that we weren't playing on CBS. But it's whatever.
It is what it is. It has nothing to do with the actual game. So
yeah,
but yeah. So we'll
see what happens there. So I hope that that's a good game, and I hope the rest of them are, but who really knows?
Exactly.
Well, this has been the first podcast for... Holy shit, wait, what just happened?
I don't know.
I think the Lions just got... What the fuck did Matthew Stafford just do? Matthew Stafford just threw a Hail Mary into the end zone. It's 31-24.
With how many seconds left?
13.
I don't think they're gonna pull it out because they're gonna have to throw another Hail Mary pick if they even get the onside kick. But
shit, that's crazy. And if Miami, if Miami wins on Sunday, they will face New England on Saturday at 8:15 on CBS. Hi.
Even if you make it that far, you're gonna hate that it's gonna be on CBS.
Yeah, and if you guys make it, it'll probably be on fucking NBC, which makes it so. Oh, fucking hate CBS. I love Fox. When the Dolphins had those Fox games, oh my god, I loved it. I love the Fox commentators. The CBS commentators are like, and Ajayi just ran for 5 yards. Wow. What a gain of 5 yards. He wasn't even touched. I mean, that was just amazing. Outstanding run by Jay Ajayi. Like, bro, it was just a 5-yard run.
It's a 5-yard run.
Let's be real. It's like during our Browns game, Ajayi scored a touchdown, and he was like, and the Dolphins win it. I'm like, bro, you see Ajayi running for a touchdown, you're not saying anything. It's just silent, and then they go, and the Dolphins win the game. What? Fucking stupid as hell.
It is. It really is.
And Lions don't pick it up, so Lions will lose officially. So this has been the first episode of the Rivalry Week podcast. I hope you guys did very much enjoy. Big shout outs to Steele for joining me, and hopefully we can have some success on this.
Hopefully.
And grow into a bigger audience.
Yes.
Steele's YouTube channel will be linked down in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to him, especially if you're a Steelers fan. If you're a Dolphins fan, make sure to go dislike all his videos and tell him that the Steelers
Hey. I can say the same thing about you guys.
Make sure to let him know that the Dolphins are going to win next week.
Let's just see what the scoreboard says at the end of the game.
And then hopefully we should be back next week at the same time. And either I'll be depressed or I'll be bragging. And either he'll be depressed or he'll be bragging. So
you might either hear a very silent version of me, which is rare, or you'll hear a guy who can't stop talking smack.
Well, we'll see. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe to both of our channels. And until next time, peace.
Peace.